Help us keep the Product Porch lights on by giving at patreon.com/theproductporch. Please review the podcast on your favorite platform. Your reviews help new listeners discover us. Thanks.
It goes like this. The Chief No Officer, Head of No, Innovation Sponge, Walking Roadblock, Killer of Dreams.
That one takes the cake.
That is one title?
Welcome to the Product Porch with Ryan Cantwell, Todd Blackier, and myself, Joe Gali. Our topic today is rebranding the product manager title. Now settle in, folks, because on the Product Porch, every topic is a product topic.
All right, gents, I have a story for you today. So I was talking to a friend of mine, and he works at a company. It's a large company. It's pretty well known. I won't say the name of the company. But he told me that the CEO came up with this new idea. So I want to run this by you. It's this new product management role. What this individual would do is they would do some market research, competitive analysis, try to understand the market. They would be really close, working closely with customers and users to understand their needs deeply, and then help bring some ideation in the form of a product strategy for how we could deliver value to this customer, to this market, position them uniquely in the marketplace, and then work directly with the product team to bring a solution to market.
Wow, that's profound. You should probably talk to. You should put your friend in touch with my friends at Airbnb. They could have a good powwow over a dinner, right? They could really have a fun conversation. That would create some fireworks. LinkedIn would blow up like nobody's business if they knew those two were having a conversation. You know what I mean? Like that would create some serious fireworks.
Well, I didn't tell you what the role's called. Let me tell you this. The role is called Product Champion. Champion.
That sounds like something like one of our kids would get as a participation award for like Little League sports, doesn't it? Like, hey, Todd.
You did it.
Thanks for being a product champion. Good job, Johnny. Way to go.
So I love
Here's your medal.
Like we all have these people in our lives, or people we've come across in our lives, where they take something that already exists and call it something different and treat it as this entirely new idea. Like,
yes,
isn't this amazing? Like, I wish I could think of like a good example of one of like a silly one of those off the top of my head. But
I feel like
it feels like.
I feel like it happens in meeting rooms all the time. Someone just repeats what someone else said and they say it differently. But like,
yeah, that's it.
So this. I mean, obviously we're all laughing here because this is the product manager's job, right? Like to me, I hear product manager. Yeah. Maybe. Yep. To your point, Joe, you had mentioned this, maybe more senior product manager, but it's a product manager.
I mean, there's a certain level of responsibility on the market research and talking to customers and developing a strategy. I mean, that's typically more seasoned in that space. It typically falls. I'm not saying that's all the time, but that's pretty common, right?
Yeah, I agree. So I challenge you guys to do this offline. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to bring our own new titles. You mentioned Airbnb. Joe, just explain why you mentioned Airbnb. What was that? I mean, that blew up in the summer 2023. Yeah.
So as my memory serves correct, Airbnb said they were going to get rid of the title product manager Airbnb. And in true media fashion, there's a lot of clickbait. So the product management community just was in an uproar. If you actually clicked on the link and read the article, it was more about there was this role, they were going to combine it with product marketing. So it was really more of a product marketing role as opposed to a product manager role, which anybody that's been in this space long enough knows there's some organizations, the product manager and the product marketer are the same individual, right? I dealt with that when I was at Reader's Digest. I remember going to my boss, Jennifer, and saying, hey, who's our product marketer? And she's like, You.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, that's what it made me think of. It's like, oh, it's genius. And it was just funny because I'm like, it created all this unnecessary uproar. People were putting blogs and they're putting like poll questions. And I'm like, did anyone actually read what Airbnb was actually doing? Right? Were they actually reading it? They weren't eliminating the role. They're just saying this individual does both discovery and promotion, which actually, if Jennifer were standing here in front of me today, I would say thank you, because I needed that experience to be a more well-run product manager. Like, I'm glad I had to think with both sides of my brain early in my career like that. So it doesn't surprise me.
So I love that. So here's what we're going to do. What we're going to do is we are going to give our alternate titles for the role of product manager. I can't wait to hear how you guys tackled this. I have a few, and I'm so excited to share them. I'll give Ryan the mic since he's spoken the least at this point. Ryan, I'll give you the mic. So, why don't you hit us with your first title?
I'm going to read you the description of what I think the role is. Then I'm going to tell you the role that I picked for it. All right. So here we go. The first one is an individual that is perceived to only exist to frustrate others in the organization. They don't share why decisions are made or what evidence exists behind them. This confuses everybody as information is exchanged or no reason. Like it's just they're said no, that's because I said so. It's kind of like that one. So this title made me laugh because it reminded me of the Game of Thrones, like Daenerys, the Stormborn, Mother of Dragons, like all of those. Like this one, you could have one of those. And it goes like this. The Chief No Officer, Head of No, Innovation Sponge, Walking Roadblock, Killer of Dreams.
Killer of Dreams. I think that one takes the cake. That one takes the cake for me.
That is one title. That whole thing is one title on a resume.
Like it could be any one of them, but I wrote I just was on a roll, so I had to write them all, and it made me think like I got to read them all. Like it sounds like that, like Daenerys, Stormborn, Mother of Dragons, like yeah.
So I got to react to this. So first off, I love what you said. Something at the start of your description was like frustrates everyone or something like that. Just says no, doesn't give a reason why.
Right.
That is fantastic. That's certainly a product management anti-pattern. But I was thinking as you're reading it, I'm like, this is for some CEOs, and maybe this was true for Airbnb, and maybe this is true for that CEO of the company not to be named. It makes me wonder if this is the way they actually see product managers. Yeah. For them, like this would be clarity of they'd be like, yeah, that's what they are. That's exactly what they are. They're Chief No Officer.
Exactly.
Chief No Officers.
The other one that made me laugh was Innovation Sponge. Like they suck all the innovation out of the organization because they just do what they want, not what.
That Chief No Officer though, there's some teeth to that.
How so?
Yeah, so many organizations, they just say they're yes man, right? They say yes. And the problem is so many organizations get nothing done because all they do is say yes.
Joe, I disagree with you.
You disagree? All right.
Why?
Because I don't want to be a yes person.
I see what you did there.
No, but what's funny is I do agree with you, Joe. Unfortunately, I got to say yes. I agree with you. I think, but the way, you could twist that, a Chief No Officer. Imagine, I've said this recently, actually to my CFO. I told her, I said, I think you and I have something in common. You're always trying to make sure we don't get ahead of ourselves financially. Like you have to say no in that way. It's a risk management. Yeah. Me as a head of product, I also have to make sure we don't get ahead of ourselves. I'm managing risk to make sure we're investing in the right thing. And in that way, I'm a Chief No Officer. Strategy is saying no, right?
Yeah. That's focus. I mean, we preach that so often, like focus, focus, focus. It's one of the hardest things to do. It's really difficult. And there were times even in my career when I felt like like these people really do look at me as a roadblock. I am the walking roadblock in the organization to like doing the things they want to do. And the example that comes to my mind is like the salesperson that's got the big deal they want to close, and I'm telling them no. We're not going to serve just the one customer. I got to think of the bigger picture, like those sort of things.
So I had nothing like that on my list. Well done, Ryan. Joe, did you have anything like that on your list?
All right. So I had a little bit of a different spin on this.
Okay.
Okay. Let me tell you where I was coming from. So I'm not like, my imagination goes more cultural references, like movies, right? So here's kind of where I kind of was headed. So last year we took the girls to Disney in Orlando, and we spent the day at Epcot. And I think we're going from Canada to Japan. And there are these phone booths. And it was a very novel thing for my daughters. They're like, "What is this?" And in my smart aleck response, I'm like, "Well, where do you think Clark Kent turns into Superman?" And they just looked at me. I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm getting old." Right?
Yeah.
So while all my friends were Star Wars fans, I probably watched the original Superman movie like 900 times. That Superman, he was my guy. Right? So when going back to this topic, when we were thinking about titles and names, I was thinking like Superman. I was thinking movie titles, right? Because think about it. The product manager is this unassuming person. She looks just like you and I. And then when a crisis happens, it's the dun dun dun, and they like have to go into, they rip off their white Oxford and they go into the phone booth and they spin around. They come out and they go, save Margaret Kidder from a helicopter falling from the Empire State Building, or they're going to go save a cat off a tree, or they're going to go prevent General Zod and his crew from extinguishing Mother Earth, right? It's like the product manager is like this unassuming person. So like I don't know if it's like fun titles like Ryan, but my mind went to Superman.
Give us,
just put that on my job title.
Give us Superman. One of them. Oh, is the job title? Is the job title Superman?
Job title Superman.
Okay, that is one of them. The job title is Superman.
Yes.
Gosh.
I thought of another one. A little bit different. Again, if you're a child of the 80s, Smokey the Bear.
Okay.
Only you can prevent forest fires. Right? If we do our job the right way, if we communicate and we're transparent, we can prevent, like we talk about preventing forest fire. We're preventing fires, right? That's our job, is to prevent fires from happening. So my immediate head went to Smokey the Bear. That should be a job title.
You know what's great about that? Smokey the Bear. So you call them Smokies. And if you need a junior one so that they can grow up to be a Smokey, then they're Little Smokies.
Oh, that'd be a great associate name, wouldn't it? Little Smokey. Yeah, Mom, I was hired in as Little Smokey, and then after 2 years, they promoted me to a cub, maybe a little Smokey cub.
Yeah. Now I'm Smokey the Bear.
I got the promotion.
Right. All right, so I got a couple.
Dude, stop there, because you shared two. Ryan shared one, because Ryan's title was one title. Let me share one from my list.
All right, go ahead.
Ryan was confusing because he had 8 words in his one title.
That's right.
Yeah, it's like supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Okay, I'll pick. I'm so excited about so many of mine. I'll pick one of them. Here's mine. User Psychologist. We don't have product managers anymore. We have user psychologists. Now, here's how I came up with this the other day. I was actually walking into my kitchen, and I was thinking about a problem that we were solving at work. And as I was thinking about this problem, I started thinking about, well, our user thinks this way. Like from the conversations I've had, this is how they think. And I realized, oh my goodness, I'm like a psychologist. Like I should be trained in psychology to understand my user and then know how to work with them. So I'll give you an example from my career. We were building a product. We were building this product for study coordinators. And there was a term that was used throughout the industry. It was common. We need a query builder. Wrong. We need a cohort builder. That's what it was. Cohort builder. So you build cohorts. You assemble cohorts of patients. You build up to a cohort, right? As I spoke to study coordinator after study coordinator, what I found is that's not how they thought about it. The way they thought about it was that you were like chiseling down to the cohort. You started with a large pool and you narrowed and sliced until you got to your cohort. So I'm like, well, a cohort builder doesn't make sense. We don't build a cohort. We actually filter to a cohort. We need cohort filters is what we do. And that's how we approach the technology. But it was trying to understand the way our users think. So there you go. User psychologist. I'll let you guys react to that.
So I'm going to react first with how much I like user psychologist. I had one on my list. I'm just going to share it now because it was similar. Yeah. It was group therapist.
Yes.
Yeah, says it was not just okay, I'm a user psychologist, but these are individuals who like scheduling and attending meetings. Like so the alternative. So I wrote alternatives for all of mine, so I have to admit it. The other sillier title was meeting scientist. Like they spend most, if not all, of their energy ensuring their stakeholders are happy by helping them complete their activities, not their own. Like, how am I going to make sure you reach your end? Like it's that kind of thing. So it's in the vein. I think you were after something
helping the stakeholders
different.
Reach their end, not their own goal.
Yes.
So I'm going to throw one more at you from my list. I think aligns with that.
Yeah.
Stakeholder arbitrator.
I like that one.
Arbitrator.
Okay.
So then we have stakeholder arbitration meetings instead of prioritization meetings. We have stakeholder arbitration meetings.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to build off of both of what you both said. I'm going to put on my I watched way too many movies. This is a problem. But I had anger manager.
Anger manager.
Right? So De Niro, Robert De Niro, right? Jack Nicholson. Or no, was it? It was Jack Nicholson and Adam Sandler. Forget
Adam
anger
Sandler,
management.
yeah.
Jack Nicholson, right?
Yep.
And then a very underrated 90s movie, The Negotiator.
There you go.
Samuel L. Jackson, Kevin Spacey, right? Like, whoa, smooth talker. Someone who can really, kind of eloquent. Like, whenever I think of someone like really trying to like deal with some angry stakeholders, I think of Samuel L. like coming in his protective suit, calm, cool, and collected, coming out, making everyone look like the good guy. Like there's no casualties. That's like, if I could just put like the negotiator and the anger management consultant, those would be some pretty killer job titles for product manager.
Anger management consultant. I like negotiator. Like then again, this is one I think you could legit use and it makes sense.
Yes.
Like, what are you? I'm a product negotiator. What does that mean? To me, that title works perfectly at a large company where they don't actually have control of the roadmap. The roadmap's defined. The investment for the product was, or the business case for the product was signed off a year and a half ago. It's like they just have money in the bank, right? And there's all these stakeholders. What are you? I'm a product negotiator. Day to day, I negotiate with each of these stakeholders. I negotiate with our engineering team, and we end up deciding on what we do. Yep. Fantastic.
Yeah, by the way, go watch. I'm going to go rewatch The Negotiator. There's some good product management skills one can glean from watching that movie.
Yeah. All right, Todd, hit us with another one of yours.
Okay. Another one of mine. This one is my favorite one. It's my favorite one. In fact, when I told my teenage kids, both of them said, this is the best one. And my son impressed me with his knowledge. I'll tell you about that in a sec. This title is Outcome Architect. Outcome architect. So you architect how to achieve an outcome. And when I mentioned it, my 13-year-old son said, Dad, is that because product managers don't focus on solutions? They should be thinking about the outcomes.
Whoa.
Hey.
Boom, my brain exploded. This also tells you about how I'm a little too obsessed with product management. Just the fact that he knows
That's
that.
impressive, actually.
But anyway, outcome architect. What do you got? What are your thoughts about that one?
I love it. Outcome architect. So by looking at what a product manager is doing. Like, think about, like, break down the activities quickly. I'm going to do my best to think about the things that jump to my mind now. We are working to serve our business to achieve their outcomes. We are working with our stakeholders to help them achieve mutual outcomes. And most of all, we are working with our users, our buyers, our influencers, all of our customer personas to create outcomes to create value. I mean, that's how we know we've got a good product. Like, I think it fits really well.
I mean, that it's self-explanatory. You put that on a resume that you don't have to interpret it. You know exactly what anybody with common sense would be able to figure out what that means.
If it wasn't for the fact that someone having that title would not be able to ever get another job, I would totally start hiring outcome architects.
Outcome architect.
So that's what I'm looking for, an outcome architect.
All right, I'll take the next one. Let's see. This one. So I'm gonna go in the opposite direction of outcome architect with this one. And it is director of opinions. So this is somebody who uses opinion, instinct, and intuition to make every decision that they have to make. So they become a proxy for the customer as a result of this. They try to put themselves in a position of power. I don't want to say by pretending, but by implying and assuming they know everything, right?
This is a callback to our last podcast about subject matter experts as product managers.
So. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Directors of... Hey, and Joe, to your point about the outcome architect, this says exactly what they do. Why ask the director of opinion for data? Right? We know we're not getting any.
Exactly.
Actually, now you just made me think of another job title. I gotta write this down real quick. All right, let me give you my next one. I'm going back. I'm keeping with my cultural references here. Okay. Here we go. You ready? Mm-hmm. Aladdin. I'm going to make your dreams come true. Right? And while I do it, I'm going to do some song and dance, and I'm going to just try to do something to distract you while I try to figure out what it is I need to do. Right? But it's like sometimes a lot of leaders, they pull in the product manager when they need a wish. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, hold on. All right. I need 100 million. All right, let's figure out how we're going to do it. Let's get that. All right, where's the product manager? That, by the way, that was supposed to be a vase. To those who can't, just visualize
what you're doing. Your lamp.
I don't have
your
any
genius lamp
in my house.
Yeah.
Right? But it immediately makes me think of the original, the Robin Williams. Right? It's like sometimes people perceive us as maker of wishes.
Like a product genie.
There you go. Better.
Yeah.
Right? But it is. Let's make the impossible happen.
So true.
Let's do discovery, ideation, problem solving in 1 quarter, and by the end of that quarter, we're going to come up with a new multi-million-dollar product to address it.
Okay, I love this. Let's take it a level deeper. Here's how I take it a level deeper. So first off, I really wish with the product genie, I could tell my management team they only get 3 wishes. That would be fantastic. But of course, they seem to believe they have endless amounts of wishes. Now, listen, in that movie, the genie said that there were 3 rules that couldn't be broken. So you get wishes, but there's 3. What was it? Fall in love, bring someone back from the dead, and maybe it was like wishing for more wishes or something. I think those were
I think you got it. I think you got it.
So, if this title existed, what are the 3 rules? So the 3 things that management can't wish for.
They can't wish for like time dilation, like compression or extension.
All right, they can't wish for the demise of their competition.
Oh, I like that. Well,
I
done,
like
Joe.
that too, because sometimes it's like we assume with the plan strategy we're making, there is no competition.
Right.
So
And so we can't do that.
Right.
There is no destruction of competition. And I like what Ryan said, because I went to the same place with, like, in my mind with resources. I was going to say like resource multiplication or something. But yeah, like time dilation. We have the resources we have. We have to work around. We can't change and bend time to fit those resources. Those are two good rules. We need a third rule.
Unlimited money? Not too easy.
That's like kind of the reason. Let's find something that's not in the resource vein. I like, because I've talked like a lot of businesses. There's like compliance and or regulatory things. Like we can't break the law.
Okay. No.
That's a fantastic one.
I mean, we're all ethical, right? We're all ethical. We want to go to bed at night with our head on our pillow and not, think we're horrible human beings when we go to bed. I like that. I can dig that.
But I could see like a leader somewhere just saying to themselves, like flippantly, like, I wish that regulator didn't exist. Right? Like I hear that.
We're not allowed to grant that wish.
Right.
All right.
The regulations
I think those are 3 solid
exist.
wishes, though.
That was good.
Those are 3 solid wishes. Yeah.
All right.
By the way, I think just even thinking about that, we're about to drive to Pennsylvania, and I believe Aladdin is on the list of movies my kids have downloaded. So when they start singing along with Robin Williams, I'm going to think of this podcast.
Maybe you can listen to this podcast while you're driving.
Exactly.
I'd be lying if I didn't say I don't love the song "A Whole New World." I mean,
oh come on, it's a great song.
It's an awesome song. I might have been known to sing it in the shower once or twice. So. All right, I think it's time for my list. I've actually covered 3 of mine, so let me grab another one here. Okay. I decided to try to create a new term. Like you have archaeologist, you have paleontologist. And I went to the Greek for this. This is a Provlemologist.
Oh God, Todd! I thought you were going to say productologist, like proctologist or something like that. I really thought you were going to go there.
Provlemologist. What this person does is they study customer problems.
Oh,
that's it. They study customer problems. They're a problemologist.
Wow.
So I'm going to throw just one. This is one, like I made a footnote, like as I was going through, and it's I think not as creative as problemologist, but innovation specialist.
Innovation specialist. That one sounds legit. Like you say innovation specialist, I bet NVIDIA has innovation specialists working for them.
There's probably something like Pixar. As innovation specialist. Like there's somebody at Apple with that title or something.
Disney, it would be. What do they have? Disney has Imagineers.
Imagineers. Yes.
But yeah, in both of these, I mean, the idea that put the focus on innovation, which I'll say, like, this doesn't apply to every company. One of the mistakes I think I have made in the past, I'm an innovation product manager. That's how I think. I spent a lot of time in the front part of product management, bringing new things to market. I think I forget that not every product manager, product team, product company is focused on innovation. In some cases, we're just looking for the next 1 or 2% increment change, right?
Right.
And that company doesn't need an innovation specialist. They may not need a problemologist either. And by the way, that's spelled PROVLI mologist.
I did also write head of problems as like a footnote, like head of problems, but I didn't get as fancy as ologists and
problemologists.
Like
all right, Joe, let's hear another one of yours from your list.
Okay.
Wait, were those just footnotes, Ryan, or did you have a new one you wanted to throw us?
No, I have other ones. Those couple were just footnotes. I'm happy. Let's throw it to Joe, and then I'll share one after that.
So I was struggling with like a creative title because I went to my oldest daughter's favorite Disney movie, Princess and the Frog. And it made me think of the fortune teller. Like he was kind of the villain, right?
What was his name?
It was a really cool. If I only had a device that could help me.
If we have the technology.
If we only had the technology. It was Dr. Facilier.
Facilier, right.
Yes, like product facilitator. Right? Like sometimes people look at product managers in that vein. Like there's a negativity about them. It's like you want something, but something bad's going to happen to you because you asked for it. Like you asked for this innovation. I'm going to ignore all this tech debt. And in about a year, we're going to have all this big data breach. Or in the cases of a really big domestic carrier, we're going to stop operations during the 3 busiest days of the calendar year. Right? It's like this extremist in the product space.
You know the irony in what you just said there? There's another angle to that. In French, facilier means someone who makes things easy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And in that way, look, today, Joe, I'm the optimist today. I'm taking all the negativity and making it positive.
It is Passover. It is, right? You know,
it's best.
I mean, frauds.
So I'm the optimist today. But in that way, like, aren't product managers the people who make things easy? I mean, I think a lot of people would say we make things hard. But if a product manager is doing their job well and understands the path forward, then everything after them should be a lot easier. I think there's a lot of engineers out there that would call foul on me right now. They would say, no,
yes,
foul. They do not make my life easier.
No, I really like that, right? Like product there's something about
Facilier.
that. Facilier. It just sounds so eloquent, like elegant, like royal.
Yes.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
I need an outcome architect and a product facilier. That's going to replace product owner. We don't have product owner anymore. We have product faciliers.
Yeah.
All right. I think we have time for one more from each of us.
All right.
Okay. I'll finish because I just finished watching the movie 21. You guys remember that movie? It's kids from Harvard that became professional gamblers. They went to Vegas. They learned how to count cards.
Yes.
It's a good movie, right? All right. And then there's also Kenny Rogers and the Gambler. So like my mind kind of went like product gambler.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you think about it, and even, go to Rain Man, if you think about product management, it's all about reading the room. It's about looking at the signs. It's about looking at the data. It's about making educated guesses based on probability, right? It's like you're not going off of gut. You're going off of statistical data, probability. And there's a lot of product management that supports that. Really good product managers are in some ways gamblers. Really good ones.
Right.
But that's kind of where my brain went, right? Product gambler.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
All right, Ryan, how about yours?
Here's the description first. This is somebody who pushes their organization they serve to invest lots of money in things like partnerships, acquisitions, and projects that are often incredibly expensive and resource consuming. This person is typically seen as someone who just wastes those resources on sometime winners. Like not everything is a winner. Maybe they had one and they are given more latitude to do it again. Here's the title. Napalm Artist. Because they burn money.
Napalm Artist. Oh my gosh. There's a real risk here. I mean, duh. No, but I mean, you can turn people into napalm artists who actually have good intentions and are trying to do the right thing. And this is why you have to be careful with who you hire and when you hire them. For example, you had what was yours? Innovation specialist. You hire an innovation specialist at the wrong time, they can become a napalm artist because they're seeking a big swing. And they're looking for a big swing, and they could send you into a place where you're not ready to invest. That your team's smaller, you don't have the resources to support maybe a really big market change for your company.
Mm-hmm.
The other thought I had was you talked about acquisitions and partnerships. And I think about partners. If you get someone from your partnership group or business development group, same kind of thing. You can always, it's a lot easier to have lots of conversations with people. It's a lot easier to do that than to actually spend time building the things that you do with those partners, right? So those are like two risks where hire at the wrong time or don't properly seat them. You can turn your biz dev person, your innovation specialist, your partner person into a napalm artist. I like that one.
Yeah, and I've seen some founders fall into this trap too because they had a winner and they think like, I need more people who can find winners, right? They have a business and their business was successful enough that they have people working for them where they're like hungry for the next big idea. And it's kind of like that. Like you could turn your innovation specialist in that direction where it comes from top-down pressure. I guess that's what's different here. It's like, okay, we gotta hit home runs. Like, let's just swing for the fences every time. And there's a lot of risk associated with that. Like,
sometimes you need a bunt, right, Joe?
Sometimes you need a bunt.
Yeah, or just singles and doubles and triples.
Yep.
Not even
blocking and tackling, right? Sometimes
Right.
it's just the fundamentals. We just got to get better at fundamentals.
Mixed metaphors.
I'm
And we got a
box
box out.
tackles.
And
we got a box out. There we go. Yeah, we got a box out.
We have to take a penalty kick.
Wait, what's a hockey one? You got to cross check, right? You got to cross check. We got to make sure we bring in hockey into this metaphor here, play here. I was thinking Heart of Darkness or Apocalypse Now, but that's going to take us down a really dark place, and I need to get out of my head. That's where, like, when you said napalm, that's where my head went. Was Apocalypse Now, Heart of Darkness.
Like the pop culture reference in my mind, Joe, was from The Dark Knight. The Joker sits the gangster on the pile of money like that he gave him, and he says, like, "Well, what are you going to do with all the money?" And he burns it. It's like, yeah, I don't need
it. Actually, that was on my. I had that on my long list. The Joker.
Yeah.
Right? It's like people perceive the product manager as
chaos.
They just don't care.
Right.
They're indifferent. Heartless.
Okay, I'll give here's mine. Okay. You guys know what my definition of product strategy is, right? You connect business outcomes to customer value, right? Okay. This one's value broker.
Broker. So a broker implies there's an exchange between two separate parties that are not you, right? Where value goes this way and value goes that way. I like that.
I like that too.
And I didn't do one for risk. I talked about risk earlier. I should have had one for risk. Some kind of risk mitigator. Product risk mitigator. Ugh, that just sounds like a job I do not want. Actually, it sounds horrible. Yeah.
Well, mine was this. Dean Peters inspired me. The Zookeeper.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because you deal with the dangerous animals of product management, the stakeholders. You're the zookeeper. And you clean up after them.
Yes. Similar to the stakeholder arbitrator.
Yes.
Okay. Before we do our takeaways, I have one question. One, I think we should pick our favorite. I think we had a big discussion here. I think we should each pick our favorite. And then before we get to our takeaways, one question I have in mind is, what do we think about the product manager title? In all honesty, do we feel like it needs a rebrand? What's going on? I mean, I see product manager defined today a lot of times with a lot of the monikers that Ryan gave. Do we actually need a rebrand?
Yeah. Yeah. So this is my thought on this. And there is a trope. I don't even know if trope is the right word because it's probably more ubiquitous than that. And that is the misconception that the product manager is the CEO of the product. I hate it. I really hate it because CEO implies you have ultimate authority over everything, and that's so a product manager. It's like power, but it doesn't exist. Like the power needs to be earned, but between everything you're doing there, and what's interesting as well is I've seen some organizations. This is not universal, but some organizations get hung up on the word manager. That manager means you are responsible for people. And most product managers are individual contributors and they want it to be reflected. It's such a unique position.
Right.
Like lots of responsibility, lots of decision-making authority, perhaps. And oftentimes there may not be like people management responsibilities associated with it. All to say, I think I'm advocating for it's time for a rebrand. Like it's time to say like, okay, this role, what is it meant to do? Let's pick some words that help more people understand the activities and even the variety that goes into being what exists today as product manager.
Yeah, it's when you were saying that, I have 3 favorites. I said pick your favorite. I have 3. I'm going to say all 3 of them. And so I'm breaking my old rule right away. So that's why if I was going to rebrand, I love outcome architect. To actually get products managers focus on outcomes, outcome architect is my favorite for the rebrand. Now, my favorite for what I think we're actually looked at as Product Genie, Product Aladdin, that I'm like, it's so true. It's just like, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to hear why or your thoughts or anything. I just want to rub the lamp and you give me amazing things.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then my favorite for like, there are some days where I just wish I had this title. I just want to put it on my Teams meetings, my Zoom meetings, my Slack meetings. Chief No Officer. Just give me the title, Chief No Officer, and I could I'm going to say no. Anyway, those are my 3 favorites.
Those are your 3 favorites. I gotta admit that Outcome Architect is my number 1 for sure, and I liked was it Prov with a Provlemologist. But I'm gonna flip that. But this could be misconstrued or misunderstood, so it probably is not good branding. But like head of problems, like what are the meaning external? Like how do we? So I do quite. I like outcome architect for the rebrand or talking about, because the trap I think of head of problems would be the implication. I remember sitting in a meeting once and I had one of my stakeholders with me and we were with a client. And this is early in my product management career when the role was like, not everybody had heard of a product manager before. And I introduce myself, I give him my business card, and one of the clients picks it up and says, "Oh, product manager. Like, what do you do?" And before I could get a word out, the stakeholder next to me says, "Oh, they're the fixer. Ryan, he's the fixer. He fixes all the problems." And like, I heard that, and you guys winced.
Yes.
That's my reaction too. It's like, wait a minute. Like, I'm not like sitting behind them, like just waiting to like sweep up.
Right.
I struggle with the rebrand because I feel like it's fodder. I feel like you look on LinkedIn and there are all these product managers that are looking for new jobs. And what I don't want to do is I don't want to create a new role and then companies be like, well, and I have this person, I'm just going to get rid of them. I'm going to hire this person. Like I worry about the effect of rebranding it. So many of us have friends that are still looking for jobs in this space. I think it's a tough spot. I just wish we could just force the leadership of organizations to just like sit down for a couple hours and just educate them on like what is product management and the value that we bring. I just struggle with it because, well, you don't think they do?
No, this is making me think. You know what we need? Like we need to sit down and write the principles of product management like they did for Agile.
Oh, and manifesto. We probably shouldn't call that.
We need a product management manifesto.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I was thinking the same thing. I was talking to a woman earlier this week in the hospice industry, and what she does is she does the community outreach, and she's all about education because there's a lot of myths about hospice. People don't understand how it works. And she was talking through all these things she did. One of the things that they did was they created plays. They've created these plays that they put on in communities, and you're talking about 800 people coming and seeing this play to show them how hospice works and stuff. And it's really interesting. She told me a couple of stories, and they're really really like emotionally evocative, but also educational. And it makes you think, man, we need that for product. Like, people don't understand what the product manager really does. Product manager needs a branding and marketing department.
Yeah.
Like, product management as a field needs a branding and marketing department to help people understand what it actually does and the value it brings.
Well, and there are some of our peers in the space, I won't name who they are, but they're being a little bit theatrical right now in the product management world. Their intentions are really in a good spot. I just feel like the theatrics and the drama are only going to turn people off. Like, I think it's got to be a thoughtful, non-theatrical, non-emotional, like, hey, here are the principles, right? Here are the things you got to know.
All right. Let's do takeaways. Whoever has one first, we'll each take a turn. Who has a takeaway from today's conversation?
Yeah, I think a strong takeaway for me from this conversation is just like, I'm so ingrained in product management. I mean, just really look at the spectrum of things that we do. Like, look at how wide and how even the three of us who have been embedded in the field for a long time are interpreting these things differently. Like, this is really interesting, which is why it's so important. Like, I mean, for anybody with the role or even knowledgeable about the role needs to advocate for, like, what is it? Like, let's just ask questions. Not even like, you don't need to go tell people. Just have conversations about it. And I think that's a big takeaway for me.
Every day we play a different role. And that's the beauty and the fun and the excitement of being a product manager. And what this also reminds me of, or makes me think about, is if I'm a hiring manager and I'm not sure, I should listen to this podcast because I think that'll give me a pretty good idea of what a product manager is going to entail. Like, what are the things they're going to be running into? Like, I feel like you should be able to listen to this podcast, listen to what we all said, and come up with like 5 or 6 questions that you're going to ask someone to say, can they be a zookeeper? Can they be a paleontologist? Or can they be a product genie? Can they be a negotiator? Right? We talked about nothing related to experience. We talked about soft skills, like the ability to communicate, the ability to collaborate, the ability to be in a team, to be a team player. Like, we didn't talk about any experience whatsoever. We talked about like hardcore soft skills that are needed to be successful as product managers. That was like my aha moment.
You know what, Joe? My takeaway is similar to yours. It's as a product leader when you're going to hire, because you are right. There's this wide set of skills that you need to be a great product manager, but you don't need all of them all the time. And your context matters. I think of this, my favorite sports, basketball, right? If I say basketball player, who are we picturing? If I said I need a basketball player on my team, who do I want? Do I want a Steph Curry? I need someone who shoots threes. Do I need a Dennis Rodman, someone who gets rebounds? Do I need a Dikembe Mutombo, someone who's going to block shots? Like, these are very distinctly different people, but they're all basketball players. As a hiring of your product leader, and I see companies do this where they just they're looking for too much. They're looking for the
unicorn,
zookeeper, / innovation specialist / negotiator / outcome architect, and it's just too much. you may need a little bit of all of that, but what are the primary? Like if you're like, these are the real things where I need them to spike. Look for that person. This was fun. As always.
This was good.
Yeah, this was super fun.
This was good. This was good.
Let's do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. It was great chatting with you guys.
1000%. This was fun. Thank you.
All right.
Awesome job,
See
guys.
y'all later.
Peace out.
Thank you for joining us on the Product Porch. We release new episodes every 2 weeks. You can also find us on LinkedIn for more content. We offer a special thank you to AJ and Jack Blockier for the music. The views and opinions expressed by the hosts of this podcast are their own and do not represent nor necessarily reflect those of their employer.